Alright guys, hope you're doing well. So, this is Lewis here. Hope you're doing well. It's interesting, 1111 just popped up on my computer before I did this, randomly. But anyway, in this video I'm going to talk about some of the main sort of changes that can happen in your body chemistry that shows up on a hair analysis test that can make you feel really bad, and it can be really confusing. And this is what we call, a lot of the time in nutritional balancing, program changes. Your program's changed. So I'm going to sort of go through the main four, in my opinion, of changes that can happen on a nutritional balancing program that can happen quite rapidly. And if you don't really stay in close contact with your practitioner to get the program changed, if it needs to be changed, then there's a lot of confusion that can come up. And some people, unfortunately, will sway off the program when a quick supplement change or another change would make people generally feel better pretty quick. So the first thing is an oxidation shift. So oxidation is basically like slow metabolism, fast metabolism, slow oxidation, fast oxidation. The best way to describe that is a little bit like being on a freeway, being on a highway, being on a motorway from the UK. And if you're in slow metabolism, slow oxidation, you're in the slow lane of the motorway and everything's going past you pretty quick. So you just feel like you're just stuck in life, you can't move forwards, depressed, lethargic, just not feeling good at all. Feel like kind of life's passing you by and you can't really keep up. Fast oxidation's the opposite, whereby you're going really quick. Sometimes it can feel good, but really fast oxidation is irritable, anxiety, paranoia, can't sleep, just feeling really irritable. Really, it's not a nice position to be in. Something I stumbled on earlier in the program is thinking that the idea was to get to fast oxidation, and I didn't really realize the difference too much in the beginning. And I remember I switched to fast oxidation one time and it wasn't a good experience. So you might be a fast metabolizer doing the program, and then all of a sudden you feel terrible. You sort of feel lethargic, you might feel thyroid gland issues, tiredness, depression, it can affect your sleep, moving from fast to slow oxidation. So your sleep might change all of a sudden, and you're wondering what on earth is going off. And moving from fast to slow oxidation in general is a little bit more overwhelming for those people, because they're used to having this fast way about them, and all of a sudden they go from here to here and they feel really bad about that. And often these people feel like they're getting worse, and it's anxiety producing, because they've gone from a fairly quick life, quick mind, quick thinking, able to do stuff, to a switch. And these switches can happen randomly. It might be a toxin release, it might be supplements need changing, it might be this person's been chronically in fast oxidation, they need to slow down in order for them to heal. So that's something to be aware of. Generally what will happen if someone switches from fast to slow is that if they keep doing the fast oxidation program, which usually contains supplements which lowers the oxidation rate, and that can keep the oxidation rate going down, and a person feels like they're on a sort of spiral downwards, when in reality we need to switch around the program so we're speeding the oxidation rate up a bit. Because the aim of the program is to try and get the oxidation rate balanced, because that's the best sort of torque for the body. And the opposite of that would be someone in slow oxidation who is feeling sort of lethargic and depressed and don't feel like they're moving forwards too much, and then all of a sudden they'll just move into fast, feel anxious, irritable, can't sleep. Sometimes it's a good feeling if it's not too fast. They can do stuff, and generally they're a little bit more uplifted. But it can go like to the other end of the scale, whereby sometimes it feels like your body wants to jump out of your skin. It's just really overwhelming and like, oh my God, what is happening? Usually that happens when someone's in slow oxidation and some sort of toxin release comes out of the body quite quickly, and it just stimulates the adrenal glands, stimulates the thyroid gland quite a lot. Boom, they shoot up into fast oxidation. And in that position, we sort of need to pull back on the reins of the horse a little bit and put a lid on things and allow this person to sort of slow down a bit. I think it's more obvious when a slow person moves into fast. They know something's happened. They know usually that something's happened in the program that needs changing. Often when someone moves from fast to slow, they can think that they're getting worse because it's just a slowing down process, when in reality they're not particularly getting worse. The next one is a switch of the NAK ratio. So NAK means sodium over potassium. Someone can go from a high sodium potassium, which doesn't particularly feel bad in general. People with high sodium potassium generally a little bit more forward thinking, generally a little bit more optimistic. It's not really classified as a bad pattern in the sense of you don't feel good. So all of a sudden that ratio can go from high to low. So the sodium drops and the potassium goes above the sodium. And for me personally, whenever I've gone into a low NAK, you do really feel not good at all. It feels a little bit like you've fallen down a hole and you're kind of looking up at the hole. Your sleep becomes problematic. You sort of get this buzzing sensation a little bit, I found, if you're trying to get to sleep. And that can be really confusing because you don't really know what's going off. You can take a supplement to raise the oxidation rate, and that's not necessarily going to raise the sodium potassium ratio. So that can get confusing because you'll think sometimes it feels as if your oxidation rate's slowed down. But when in reality, the NAK has switched. And that's quite tricky to start to learn about and to understand and to feel into. And that's why the hair analysis tests are so important to do every single month, because a lot of people skip them. A lot of people don't think they're particularly that important, and in reality they're super important, because if these things have shifted, which they will do in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you can be feeling bad unnecessarily because your program's changed, or the NAK might have dropped even further, it might have gone above, etc. Usually when the NAK goes from low to high, generally a person feels better. So it's not really something that, people are generally running to me saying, oh my God, something's gone wrong. I feel like my program's changed. It's much more harder to feel an NAK switch from low to high. Now the third one is an obvious one. It's just heavy metal dumps, which can change your program quite a lot for various different reasons. Usually as you move along the process, you start to sort of figure out or feel what metals are probably being released from the system. Copper, for example, gives you a racing mind, insomnia, irritability, sometimes skin flares up. The list's endless really with copper. Sort of PMS symptoms if you're a woman, if you're getting PMS symptoms and it's not your period, that's generally sort of a copper dump. Aluminium, if you start getting forgetful, start sort of missing sentences, stumbling words too much, forgetting to pick your mum up from the supermarket, you're probably dumping something like aluminium. So it's important to get to know the metals, and you can only really get to know them by learning, speaking to your practitioner, doing the hair analysis test. Arsenic gives you this sort of dark feeling, doom feeling, I suppose, sometimes, like a darkness surrounding you, like a thick smog. Nickel dump is suicide. Sometimes you get suicidal thoughts, overly suicidal thoughts. You might not be suicidal before, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I just can't be doing with this anymore. And you know, you start to think to yourself, well, why am I getting these thoughts all the time and coming up constantly? I wasn't thinking that before. It's usually nickel, which is bizarre that it makes you think that. And so that's something that you've got to sort of get to know as you keep moving down the path of healing. Dr. Wilson's articles are really good for reading each metal, and he generally talks about the symptoms associated with that one, with each metal, so that helps a lot. And then the last one for this video is a sort of toxic potassium dump. Usually what you find on a hair analysis when this happens is that the potassium level goes from whatever, a normal level or a low level, kind of just through the roof high. Usually sodium goes up with it. Generally it's toxic potassium being removed from the kidneys, but what happens is when this is removed, it like shoots a person into this fast oxidation. Generally really irritable, really anxiety producing, not knowing what's gone off, you know, a bit of a shock to the system. Sometimes it's more challenging to deal with because it's not a sort of natural shift into fast oxidation. It's a toxic metal that's stimulating the body so much that the body just shoots into fast oxidation, and that can be quite, you know, not nice feeling at all for people that end up going into sort of high fast oxidation. So I hope that helps you guys. If you are wondering whether you've got a program change, then don't hesitate to get in touch with your practitioner. There's various questions that we ask, and we often liaise with Dr. Wilson as well to understand whether your program needs changing. Often it just takes a switch of a supplement a lot of the times just to start feeling better, usually the same day or the second day or third day. And a lot of people, you know, I've seen people come to me who haven't had a test for a long time, and it's clear that their program shifted from first test to second test, and they've been complaining about how bad they feel, thinking that it's some sort of detox reaction. You know, and I say to them, man, your program needs changing. You really need to get your retest every 3-4 months, because this is what happens. And you know, I gave them the supplement changes, and there was all of a sudden, there was like, I just can't believe it. I can't believe how much different I feel. I've been feeling like this now for the past few weeks, whatever. And in reality, they just needed a program change. So all that helps, guys. If you're interested in the program, send me an email, lewis@deephealingspace.com. Catch you soon.